Huawei claimed to have done some outstanding job with their HarmonyOS 5 beta on the Mate 60 Pro in terms of video performance. So we want to put it to a test. The Mate 60 Pro versus the iPhone 16 Pro, 4K 60 frames per second. Let's get started. We start off with the front-facing shooter of the Mate 60 Pro that has 0.8 times magnification, but also wide, which is like 0.6 times magnification, which is super wide here. And I think this front-facing camera is even better than the one on the Pura 70 Ultra. And yes, if you listening and hear some background noises, we are using the internal mics to also check out how well they cope here. I can go to 1x zoom, which looks like this on the front-facing camera. Sadly, this has no autofocus, but otherwise it can definitely compete with the iPhone. But let's check out the iPhone. Same situation now with the iPhone. A little bit less traffic there going in the background, so maybe the audio is a bit better. But you can see we have a gloomy day. How good are the colors here? How good is stabilization? I cannot zoom in or out there. This is roughly what we have like with 0.9 time on the Mate 60 Pro or even 1x. So the field of view cannot be made wider, which is like a little bit of a problem, but it has autofocus, which is quite nice. So I can hold the Mate 60 Pro here and the camera bump in, and it should be able to focus on it. So this is at least the theory. And yeah, what do you think about the quality stabilization here of the front-facing camera of the iPhone? The only thing that I know from the iPhone 16 Pro is that the front-facing camera has a bit less dynamic range at 4K 60 than at 4K 30. But what do you think about this one here? And now I'm using the main camera sensor here on the Mate 60 Pro. How good is the audio now? There's a bit of more traffic going on there still, but yeah, it should calm down a little bit here. So what do you think about this one here? 1.5 inch size sensor here, so it is not the largest one, and I think it's a bit smaller than the one on the iPhone. I can show you a small autofocus test there at 4K 60. This is the iPhone camera bump there. So what do you think? Does it work? The iPhone has a little bit of a larger sensor, 1.28 I think. And how does this then compete with this one here? But before we do this, let's go to the ultra wide angle. 4K 60 we can switch between all lenses, and we have the ultra wide angle. And with the ultra wide angle you can see that Timmy is also on board here, walking with me again here in the morning in Wesel. What do you think about the audio quality? Wind is coming now a little bit. I think it's a bit too harsh wind that it can filter it out. But what do you think about this one here? I'm trying to protect it a little bit with my finger. But yeah, this is it. Now let's try to perform a zoom test to see how quick and how smooth it can zoom in. So let's try to zoom in to 4 times immediately. There we go. Switch lenses, and then 10 times to see the bridge there in the background. And we can go even further up to 20x there, but because it's a bit of a grayish kind of day, you can see it's pretty noisy. Let's go back to 1x there, and this is the 1 time. And the stabilization, however, is very fine on the Mate 60 Pro. I really like it. For videography, they improved a lot, and I think some of the tweaks that they made for the Mate 70 series, which I think roughly uses the same sensors there, are also coming to the Mate 60 Pro, which is quite cool. So what do you think about this one here? So for some reason the iPhone 16 Pro recorded the whole segment that I did in portrait mode, so I have to re-record it. Going back a little bit here with Timmy still, but I want to perform a little autofocus test for you as well. This is the camera bump of the Mate 60 Pro. How well does it focus on it? Should be fast and smooth. So I know that the iPhones are very good with focusing. There's no smearing as well on my face that you sometimes see in between frames on the previous Mate versions at least, and the previous other smartphones, that the iPhone does very well and doesn't do so much. 4K 60 frames per second recording here. We can also switch to the ultra wide angle, so let's do it. So this is the ultra wide angle. It's pretty wide there. It's one of the weakest sensors. I think the predecessor had a better sensor, even though it was only 12 megapixels, but the 48 megapixels doesn't help, especially in photography. But in videography, it is not so bad. It's not so significant the difference there, but I still think it's not an upgrade to what we had with the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So you can see Timmy is still here with me, and sniffing the grass, maybe eating a bit. And yeah, 4K 60 frames per second. We can switch between all lenses. You saw already, you're seeing right now the ultra wide angle. Let's perform a little zoom test. So let's go to the same position there. We have like a marker here on the floor, on the ground. We have a 5x optical, so let's go directly to the 5x optical. You can see that I have it now in the center there. If I go to the 5 times optical, it's going a bit to the right. So this is something that I have to correct. And then I can zoom in up to 15 times. There's a bit of noise there, but I think at least on screen it looks a bit better than what the Mate 60 Pro was doing there. But you can get a bit closer with the 60 Pro for sure. Let's go back to the 1X. Very, very smooth here. And yeah, what do you think about the iPhone? Of course, the iPhone is still, when it comes to videography, very, very good there. They don't have always the best lenses, but I think the smoothness and so on is pretty good. How does this Mate 60 Pro compete here with the iPhone 16 Pro? What do you think? What is your opinion? Write it down in the comment section. And that's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye. So the front-facing video, first of all, you can see how cropped in it is on the iPhone. The other thing that you see here immediately is that I'm out of focus on the iPhone. I can make it bigger here, so focusing on the background instead of me. So the front-facing camera, at least at 4K60, has some issues on the iPhone when it comes to the focusing. Stabilization also, but I think the Mate struggles a little bit more. This is 0.8 times magnification. We can like go super wide angle, which is like better. I think it's the best one here for the Mate because it gives you a wide field of view and it struggles not so much with stabilization there. Let's go back to where I have like the 1X. There you can see the 1X is roughly the same field of view that I have with the iPhone there. And when you compare it here, you can see it's also, I think, slightly softer on the Mate 60 Pro there. But in terms of stabilization, I think the 1X gives you the best stabilization on the Mate. And I think it is even beating the iPhone there for the front-facing camera. The front-facing camera is surprisingly weak also here with focusing, which it should have autofocus, but it failed completely here. Was not focusing and was sometimes focusing on the background, such things. So this like kind of like not sunny day solution, or not solution, in this not sunny day test, you see definitely the front-facing camera on the iPhone struggling. It's a bit of warmer on the Mate overall, but yeah, I would say, yeah, which one would you prefer here? And in terms of colors, the Mate is a bit more punchy colors. Look at the greens there, the green grass there. And which one would you prefer there? I like the flexibility on the Mate a little bit more, but yeah, the sharper details you get on the iPhone, though only if it focuses correctly, otherwise you are blurry as well. So which one would you prefer in terms of front-facing video? When it comes to the main camera sensors on the back, what you can see here is clearly that I don't like the iPhone's yellow kind of face and yellow kind of overall tone, because it is a bit of a grayish day. It's winter time here in Germany, so the bluish kind of colder feeling that you get with the Huawei is a bit better. In terms of bokeh, yes, you have a bit more bokeh and a bit more contrasty look on the iPhone. It's a bit softer definitely on the Mate. When we check out the ultra wide angle, what we can see is, first of all, both do zoom out quite smoothly when it comes to the
for some reason the iPhone
ultra wide angle. Why I cannot iPhone files? I cannot go
very
forward
iPhone
there.
but in videography
ultra wide angle. And you can see that it's still a little bit wider on the Mate 60 Pro in comparison to the iPhone. The wideness is a bit wider, you can see it here. So the car, everything is in there. But also towards the edges, both get very soft and both struggle a bit with stabilization there. I have to say,
what do you think about the audio
because
quality?
of the wider angle of view, even though it struggles the same way as the iPhone does, and I don't like the iPhone's too much yellow cast there, because it should be this grayish kind of bluish kind
Not
of
so
day.
significant the difference.
I would like the Mate a little bit better, but I would give it the same points there. Benefits of the doubt. Let's go to the zoom lens there. And the zoom animation, you can see the iPhone is like, because of the positioning on the lens, is going a little bit to the right there on my first try, where I didn't have this issue on the Mate. But what you can see here, the Mate is like a bit going maybe to the left there, but it will take a while there. You can see this is still the crop of the main camera sensor, and then it switches the lens to its optical lens. So it took a bit longer. It doesn't do this always, which is a bit of an issue there, but it's a beta version. Keep in mind, HarmonyOS Next 5.0 is still a beta version. This is 5.0.113 right now after the patches. They optimized it a little bit, but it's not perfect yet. And then we go to, what is it now? 10 times there. Let's compare it with here, 10 times. Wait a second, there we go. 10 times roughly. You can see a bit more contrasty looks still on the iPhone, but in terms of detail level, it's almost the same, almost identical. So the benefit that you would get from a 5x zoom on the iPhone, I don't really see it, optical zoom. When you go even further, like in, is it the furthest in? Yeah, I think it is the furthest in already. Let's go there. And we can go further in here. You can see, yeah, you get a bit further reach, but it doesn't really help anything there in terms of detail level on the Mate. So here I would say in terms of zoom, I'm surprised that they are quite similar there in this regard there when it comes to the maximum zoom. However, the transition, let's do the transition from, wait a second there, let's do the transition to the 1x.
Let's go back to 1x there.
There's a small jump there.
A bit better than what the Mate 60 Pro was doing there, but you can get a bit closer with the 60 Pro for sure. Let's go back to the 1x.
You see how much smoother it looks like with the zooming out here. Again,
because it's a bit of a grayish kind of there, you can see it's pretty
smooth,
noisy.
But it has
Let's go back to 1x there.
A little hiccup there that the iPhone doesn't have. That's the only big difference that I noticed there. Otherwise, like in terms of colors, more punchy colors on the greens again on the Mate, where we have it a bit, yeah, also punchy here on this side, but it's a little bit more toned down there on the iPhone. But again, this yellow casting and too much contrast,
smooth here.
Don't like so much.
What do you think
of the iPhone?
And this is the the one-time iPhone
focus switch in there again. Which one you'd prefer? This is a little bit too much contrast in my case, for my taste. And here, I think it's a bit more natural. But you be the judge there. You can see the huge difference in terms of bokeh there, that the sensor difference or size difference makes there. Also, the greens here of my jacket is much more realistic on the Mate there in terms of colors. So, yeah. This is my short analysis here. So yes, the Mate 60 Pro has improved dramatically, also with the zoom in, zoom out, and switching lenses, and 4k60 is super stable there as well. It's very close to what the iPhone does there, but I think the iPhone is still just a little bit better there than the Mate 60 Pro when it comes to this. Not with colors, but when it comes to the smooth zooming in and zooming out capabilities. Otherwise, when it comes to the front-facing cameras, I think I prefer the Mate, even though it doesn't look always as crisp as the iPhone. It has more flexibility with the ultra-wide angle there that I really like. So what is your opinion? Write it down in the comment section.